What we want to do right now is bring in a Lieutenant Rene Gonzalez, who is with Michigan State Police. Bring him on live here on Live Now from Fox. And Lieutenant Gonzalez, thank you so much for being here. First and foremost, just thinking of you guys and your community, praying for Michigan, the Spartan community. How are you doing at this hour?
I'm doing good, thank you. Along with the other officers and local agencies that assisted, everyone's doing well. We're just doing our job.
And so for viewers who are just joining us, tell us a little bit about your role and what you do, because you do cover Ingham County and you were there last night at the time of this breaking news.
Yes, my job in the first district, I'm the public information officer for the MSP, and what my duties are to cover any large scale operation or an incident such as this shooting that went on. So what I did is I was sent to the scene. We already had numerous officers from other agencies, state, local, county, and city that had went to the scene. We had numerous officers that weren't even requested to came in on their own to help out.
In hearing from Michigan State University police last night, I believe he had said hundreds of law enforcement officers were there last night, and that includes yourself. So walk us through when you first got that call and where you were at when you got the news that there was a shooter on campus.
I was actually at home at the time. It was about 8:18, from what I remember, is the call coming out that there was an active shooter. Without question, I had some of my guys calling as well, and they wanted to go to the scene. I gave them authorization. I said, yeah, get there. So our guys dispatched. They left from their homes and went right to MSU, along with other agencies. As I said, the state, city, counties, all arrived at the scene, a lot of them without even being requested to the scene.
So how did that work with hundreds of law enforcement members being there and so many hands on deck? How did that work once you arrived there? What were you assigned to do in that moment?
Well, my job specifically is as the public information officer is to find out what's going on. What I do is get out information to the public via Twitter or any other social media that I can. Mainly we have a shooting going on at a certain agent or a certain area. In this case, it was MSU. And we asked the students, faculty, please lock down. And then we tell everyone else that they could just stay away until we get that situation. Other officers that show up on the scene, there's normally an area where everyone may brief, and then they'll send them out in groups on duty. When you're dealing with an active shooter, it's normally, if you know where you're supposed to be, the first few officers that are on scene, they go in and they try to eliminate the threat. And that's what happened here. Moments after that call came in, officers were on scene and they were in there going towards the trouble and looking for the problem.
And it ultimately took a while to find that suspect. Of course, he was on foot for a while, police telling everyone to shelter in place. And Michigan State University, with it being such a large campus, can you talk a little bit about some of the challenges that law enforcement faced during that time that search was ongoing?
A lot of the search that we had a lot of officers walking around the area looking for the shooter. A lot of them were in plain clothes with minimal markings on their uniforms, which makes it difficult dealing with the darkness. So we had numerous calls from 911 or 291 saying that they had seen a person with a rifle. So we had to check every call just to be safe. So that was the issue. And then we also were waiting for video of the ID or what the shooter looked like. And once we got that is when things started falling into place and we knew who we were looking for.
How is the community doing tonight? I'm not sure if you're a father or not, but of course, so many families on edge during the initial news of this, hoping to hear from their loved ones who may have been on campus or close to it. How was the community last night and how are they doing today?
The community is rallying. Last night, I have two daughters that are college age. That impacts me because of the age of these children out there. I know many other officers that their kids go to that school. I have family members that their kids went to that school, or they have friends that have kids at that school. So it affects everybody. The community's rallying. Everyone's kind of helping each other out, encouraging everybody. I know tomorrow night at 6 p.m. in front of Sparty, MSU is holding a vigil for the injured and the deceased. Along out down the road at the U of M, University of Michigan is holding a vigil as well at 7 p.m. at their diag. So everyone's coming together, trying to take care of each other, and it's really nice to see the community come together like that.
Yeah, and I lived in West Michigan in the Kalamazoo area, saw how close-knit that community was there. Of course, not that far off from East Lansing, especially when there's a tragedy that does occur. What comes next? How does the community begin to recover from such a horrific incident?
It's difficult to tell someone you've got to move on. We don't want them to move on. We want them to deal with this. So there's a lot of counseling going out there. MSU, along with other agencies around the area, are offering grief counseling, mental health counseling, anything that's going to help these people deal with this, or help these victims or anybody that's dealing with this to put out how they're feeling and get some help. It's probably the best way to deal with this.
Yeah, and Lieutenant Gonzalez, we really appreciate you coming on here tonight after such a difficult evening and, of course, a long road to recovery and getting back to a normal swing of things following such a tragic event. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us this evening that we may not have talked about already?
Well, just that we felt other agencies, after we had finally taken care of the shooter and got that resolved, is how well the community took care of themselves. The students and the faculty out at MSU did wonderfully. When they locked down, they stayed in place, and that was the best thing to do to let the officers do their job. So we thought the community did great out there as far as with the situation and handling it.
And I have to say as well, just seeing how great the law enforcement was, Michigan State Police putting out those tweets and being so transparent with the public, that was so helpful, and with the media to be able to spread the word. It was a really impressive job on their end as well to keep everybody in the public safe.
Yes, we found that once we got the surveillance photo of the suspect, we put that out. It was put out at, I believe, 11 o'clock at night, and by 11:17 we had a call. I believe a neighbor saw a subject matching the description of the shooter walking by and called the police, and that's when they had located this subject walking down the street.
Can you recall a time where you've seen so many different agencies come together for a search effort like this in your career?
I've been through many situations. I've seen agencies come together, but not in this number. It was impressive to see the brothers and sisters that I work with, how everybody from different agencies, state, local, federal, city, just come together and get to the scene. It was impressive, and made me proud to be a state trooper or even a police officer.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lieutenant Gonzalez. Thank you for the work that you do and for being on here with us tonight as we continue to follow anything that comes out of this story moving forward. Just such a sad, yet another mass shooting that we are following here on Live Now from Fox. We appreciate you being with us this evening.
Thank you.